Memang clear sungguh ke? Everything, yeah.
Yeah, for me it is clear. But
Yeah.
it's more interesting if we can actually hold the bone.
Betul kan? That's why lah, because we cannot have that bone. That's why I adhere sekali the YouTube video semua tu kan. So you guys go through tak the videos tu?
Yes, doctor.
Because usually kalau dululah biasanya I think you all pun tahu kan, yang killer question is usually when you were given a bone and you were asked by your lecturer to identify left ke right. I remember ada one student, dia orang cakap for distinction question was given clavicle and identify whether it is left or right clavicle. And that student cannot answer that question, so tak dapat distinction. I think for final pro kot. No, not final pro. Ke year 2 pro, something like that lah. So rugilah. Okay. So the one more thing is okay. Jangan. I got a question yesterday regarding this humorous. Okay. Sekejap tak keluar pun. Okay, nampak tak?
Yes, doctor. I can see.
Okay. So kat sini I've mentioned yang humerus ada anatomical neck and surgical neck kan. Okay, the one yang prone for fracture is surgical neck, not anatomical neck. So why?
Hello, doctor. So, anatomical neck is not frequently fractured because it has many structures that surround to protect it. For example, like joint capsule, it covers the anatomical neck. Also, it has ligaments that surround the capsule, so it strengthen and support the shoulder joint.
So yang lain faham tak?
Yes, doctor. I want to ask, the neck is actually have any surgical importance or something based on its name?
Which neck?
The surgical neck. Is it any important in surgical procedure or something like that?
Surgical neck. Because this is the area, dia diberi nama surgical pun sebab it is this area prone to fracture. So around this area is the ada anterior and posterior circumflex artery yang supply this region tau. So bila dia prone to fracture, you can imagine tak, yelah a structure with a with a big distal, proximal and distal part. You imagine this proximal part, distal part big kan. Ni the one yang panjang lah, structure yang panjang, and this is the I would say the narrowest part of the bone. That's what kita panggil di sini neck. And this part yang prone for fracture. You bayangkan kalau ada hit from lateral or medial side of your arm, kawasan sini yang prone to fracture. So bila this here fracture, dia prone to get vascular injury due to supply from anterior posterior circumflex artery tu. Dia juga prone for axillary nerve injury because that structure around here. That's why sometimes it depends not necessarily, tapi sometimes we need a surgical operation to correct the fracture. So that's why kita nak pakai the surgical neck. Am I answering your question or not?
Yes, doctor. Thank you.
Okay. Nak tunjuk ni mana ya? Sekejap Okay. So anything else? Sebentar saya tengah cari gambar mana ni. Yang lain senyap je.
Doctor, there's question in the chat box.
Chat box ya? Okay, kejap Saya tengah tengok gambar lain.
Or you want me to read it for you?
Tahu, kejap. I nak cari gambar sebenarnya tadi. To show dia the... Okay, kejap Nak tunjuk another picture. Okay. Nampak tak?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Just to this slide actually I will, yelah kita akan belajar after this lah. Just to let you know ni. Capsule, joint capsule of shoulder, dia akan cover surround the joint, dia akan cover sekali ni. Anatomical neck of humerus, and then dia ada all the structure ni, the ligament yang mensupport shoulder joint. That's why lah anatomical neck of humerus basically protected lah as compared to surgical neck kalau ada fracture apa, okay? Okay, check box sekejap tengok. How to distinctively differentiate between left and right clavicle? Left and right clavicle. So, itu yang kita guna apa nama? All the landmark yang I've mentioned before this. Okay? First of all, dia clavicle memang tricky sikit lah sebab superior inferior surface dia kan macam lebih kurang je, dia punya demarcation tak terlalu clear. So I pun tak ada bone dengan I. So macam, but you have to remember clavicle dia bukan macam bone lain tau. Dia kan ada bone is I would say like bulat. Not exactly bulat lah, but you can imagine tak, clavicle is macam ni, macam pembaris ni. So dia sit like this. Okay, in your body dia macam ni. Pipih macam ni, okay. Lepeh. So first of all you have to know bila dah macam ni, you tahu this one is either one lah. You tak tahu lagi kan which one yang superior inferior, tapi you know the position is like this. The one yang lepeh tu horizontally located macam ni. So you just to have to know which one yang superior dengan inferior. Yang apa nama medial lateral ni biar dulu. When you get this clavicle, tengok dulu. Position dulu the bone and then identify dulu keadaan dia macam ni, and then you need to see all the landmark to know first which one is superior, which one is inferior. Okay, so bila you dah tahu dah macam I'm not sure macam mana okay, nampak kan? So mula-mula sekali you tahu atas dengan apa? Bila you dah dapat tadi yang macam position yang cakap tadi kan, dah horizontally placed, how you want to know whether which surface is superior, which surface is inferior. You tengok yang smooth part is superior. Yang ada groove tu, even though you don't remember pun what groove is this, you just know yang rough inferior, yang smooth superior. surface. So at least dah tahu dah position dia macam mana, smooth dekat belah atas. Then you need to know pula medial lateral lah. So medial lateral, kalau you tak nak ingat all the groove ni apa, you can just based on the punya convection of the bone, okay, to one of the I think lah hint for you to know. Kalau you tak nak remember all the groove lah, if you tak nak ingat, you feel it's like a bit difficult for you to remember the groove, the convection ni, yang 2/3 medial, 1/3 lateral. So you better remember the groove lah. Okay, groove ni one of the thing is you nampak yang ni connect tubercle kan. Okay, so this is definitely lateral. Okay tak?
Yes, Doctor.
Like if let's say all of you can ada bone, each one of you ada bone, senang sikit kan? Sekejap I minum air ya. So kalau you nak minum, minum dah. Okay. So anything else?
Doctor, I want to ask, why the usual part that fracture in the humerus is the surgical neck, not the shaft of the bone itself?
Oh, okay.
The humerus.
Sebenarnya dia bukannya not necessarily when I say keluar dah. Okay. Not to say memang surgical neck of humerus is the place yang usually fracture dekat humerus. It actually depends on the impact of your injury lah. Kalau accident, impact of your accident tu, not necessarily surgical neck of humerus. Shaft pun jadi juga. Cuma fracture neck of humerus ni it's important for you to know sebab dia ada structure yang neurovascular structure tu lah. So that if you have this kind of patient, instead of just treating the fracture, the surgical neck fracture tu, you have to look for sign of neurovascular compromise in this patient. Shaft pun biasa juga fracture, and shaft also you need to know in patient with shaft fracture, dia akan usually prone to get radial nerve injury. Okay, so tak adalah maksudnya nak kata surgical neck is common dan shaft is based on the impact of the accident, the impact of fall, macam tu. But each region you have to know what the significance of each region punya fracture. Kalau head of surgical neck of humerus, axillary nerve dengan circumflex tu lah, anterior posterior circumflex artery. Kalau shaft, radial nerve dengan profunda brachial artery. Kalau supracondylar pun ada juga, biasanya pediatric patient, okay, supracondylar fracture. Dia akan involve sekali muscle attachment or extensor. So macam tu lah. Is it possible? Okay. Is it possible for both thoracic and ulnar bone to be fractured in one? Yes, it is possible. In fact, kita ada macam-macam fracture, not only to say macam fracture mid shaft, distal end ke apa, dia macam, tapi this is too clinical for you lah. Okay, kalau you masuk orthopedic tahulah ada Montegia fracture. So and then bukan setakat fracture of radius and ulnar, kita pun ada fracture with dislocation of joint. Macam usually elbow susah nak dislocate lah because all the capsule and ligament around dia memang and the nature of the joint itself dia uniaxial punya plane kan. So dia as compared to shoulder kan, shoulder multi-axial memanglah flexible tapi less stable as compared to elbow. Elbow taklah orang kata taklah flexible sangat tapi dia stable. So usually fracture of radius ulna ni kadang-kadang dia boleh involve juga fracture of dislocation of ni distal radial ulnar joint. Remember tak dalam lecture tu ada radius and ulna is not, radius and ulna articulate with humerus and carpal bone. Okay, proximally radius ulna articulate dengan humerus, distally dia akan articulate dengan carpal bone. But radius and ulna itself dia pun articulate with each other. Dekat yang notch tadi tu lah, okay. So dia pun making a joint with themselves. Okay. Okay. Is there significant difference between condyle? Is there significant difference between condyles of upper limb and lower limb? Why do you ask this question? Siapa mau ask?
Because both have condyles, right, Doctor?
Mm-hmm.
So is there any significant difference between?
The way you are asking is like macam, is there any significant difference between humerus and femur? Of course there's significant difference lah, because humerus upper limb, femur lower limb, sama juga macam condyles of upper limb lower limb kan. It belongs to different part and it has its own function. For me, okay, kalau macam kata, of course macam kalau lower limb supracondylar fracture of femur, dia lagi impose life threatening condition as compared to fracture of condyle pada humerus. It's not that fracture condyle of humerus tak important. I'm comparing between fracture condyles of humerus dengan femur. Why I said condyle fracture, supracondylar fracture of femur is more disastrous than fracture, let's say supracondylar fracture of humerus. You dah buat dah kan lower limb? Kan? Sudah dah?
Yeah.
Okay, so kenapa? Kalau fracture supracondylar femur?
Because of anastomosis of blood supply, many blood supply there.
Okay, specifically, bukanlah, I mean macam dekat sini pun ada blood supply juga.
Don't know, Doctor.
Sebab
What are you doing?
Sebab okay, I pun dah okay, I'll be honest to you, I pun tak berapa ingat sangat lower limb, but dekat condyle of femur, there's attachment of tendon kan. Tendon apa? You ajak I. Anyone?
ACL, PCL?
Medial collateral ligament and lateral collateral ligament between.
Ligament ya. Macam muscle tak ada? Tendon from the muscle. Because I
Ada. Plus asinine.
because I remember I got one case fracture ni lah supracondylar fracture of femur ni. Macam nak kata? Okay, macam femur kan. This is anterior part, okay, posterior part. Femur kan tongkol macam tu kan. And then ada attach of tendon, betul tak? Betul ke tak betul ni? I pun tak tahu.
Yes.
Yes.
Betul tak? Kan? So when there is fracture here, what happen? muscle contract bone ke belakang, betul tak? So this fracture ni akan menekan vessel. Belakang ni ada vessel apa? Dekat popliteal fossa.
Venus.
Populated artery.
Populated.
So bila popliteal dia akan compromise blood supply to the distal part. Okay, like my patient tu, kalau lambat treat, he might end up with amputation of the lower limb sebab the fracture itself compressing the artery, dia punya SpO2 of lower limb macam 50 macam tu. So he need urgent vascular repair masa tu. As compared to supracondylar, it's not that compared to ni lah humerus, bukanlah kata tak important tapi dia punya orang kata apa not as disastrous as lower limb lah sebab dia still ada apa nama supply from anterior part of the apa nama sebab sini kita ada brachial artery dekat belah depan kan, so dia akan branch to radial and ulnar artery. So biasanya fracture of upper limb ni dia taklah, Azlan cakap sini lah, kalau lower limb because the muscle bulk is very big, that's why lah yang I cakap tadi bila fracture supracondylar femur tu dia boleh muscle contract and the fracture, the distal part of the fracture tu, the fragment tu compressing the popliteal artery sampai compromise blood flow sebab of the muscle bulk, a very big bulk dekat femur kan. Kalau macam arm, dia punya muscle contraction, dia punya bulk of the muscle tu tak sebesar femur. So that's why dia tak kata apa, impact the vascularization as compared to what happened to the femur lah. Okay, faham tak?
I see. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Itu apa yang I boleh terfikir sekarang lah when you ask about different between conduct of upper limb and lower limb. Of course dia punya, I think in term of dia punya rupa pun beza kan. So in term of clinical significance yang itulah I terfikir sekarang ni. How to differentiate lateral and medial view of elbow. Okay, I think ada dalam lecture, mana gambar tu? Okay. Sekejap Okay, nampak tak?
Yes, Doktor.
Okay, so kalau I lah, paling mudah nak tengok you are asking about lateral and medial view of elbow kan. Paling mudah for me to differentiate kalau medial mesti yang apa nama ni, medial epicondyle tu kan macam prominent sikit as compared to lateral epicondyle, betul tak? If you can palpate yourself pun, you palpate your elbow joint, you boleh rasakan yang medial tu is more prominent than the lateral part, dia terbonjol sikit. So if you got a picture, tapi picture ni macam tak justify sangat lah kan untuk exam sebab you tak nampak pun bonggolan dia tu. But if let's say you were given like AP punya anterior view of the elbow joint, so you boleh nampak yang terbonjol tu definitely medial. Kalau nak senang cakap lah. And then bila medial, you always remember medial ulnar yang dekat badan kan. Medially ulnar. So immediately after that bonggol mesti a big bone. So macam ni kan. You nampak ni kan. Ni anterior view. You nampak itu bonjol tu, okay, first clue you know this is medial lah. And then we tengok macam from lateral view, this one is bigger than the other one. Macam tadi sorry I lupa siapa yang tanya tadi kan, yang pasal apa nama, head is smaller. So you know yang small tu head, of course proximal, head of radius. Yang bignya ulna sebab ulna punya head kecil, ulna punya head dekat distal, radio punya head dekat proximal. Okay? Nampak? Okay, am I answering your question, Atira?
Yes, thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Okay, anything else? What makes the clavicle to be the most commonly fractured bone? Ini kan, I ada baca tapi I macam tak menghadamkan sangat. One, because of the covering ya. Ialah dia punya periosteum of the bone itself. That one I get back to you lah sebab itulah I taklah menghadam sangat about that part. But the other thing is because of the position itself. Kalau you tengok mana clavicle, okay. Okay, yang nampak kan? Okay, when I said mostly fractured bone in the body, biasanya yang area yang fracture tu is ni lah, in the middle of medial 2/3 dengan lateral 1/3. That is the region yang dia easily fractured because of the gambar tak? Because of dia punya position, dia punya orang kata apa? Yalah, lengkungan dia itulah yang contribute to the weakness of the bone. And the other thing is sebab dia punya covering, dia punya ni lah, periosteum dia apa ke, that one I cannot explain now lah sebab nanti kan salah info pula. Nanti I get back to you, I post dalam Google Classroom ya. But one of the thing is because of dia punya ni, lengkungan dia ni make it prone for fracture dekat transition of convex anterior anterior convex dengan posterior convex ya. Apa ni? Just want to clarify, is the explanation for the position of ulnaris in the supine position, and is it possible the figure came out not in supine? Is the explanation for the position of ulnar and radius is in supine position. Explanation apa yang I explain tadi ke? Siapa? Syahirah?
If we want to explain the anatomy, the position of ulnar and radius, is it the medial and lateral is when what I can say is when it is in supine position, the medial and lateral part of the ulnar and radius.
If you were asked to describe, let's say describe position of ulnar radius atau elbow joint ke apa kan, it's best for you if you take everything in supine position. Kan kita punya apa? Mak tangan tak nampak. Macam tu kan. Always describe in ni lah supine. You belajar kan yang alamak nak berdiri ya. Macam gini kan. Yang tangan macam tu, orang macam tu. Okay. This is the position. Unless macam you were given a picture and then situ dah memang your lecturer dah stated dah posterior view ke lateral view, medial view, then that's different lah. But even if let's say you were given a picture with posterior view, the name still the same. Okay, macam ni medial epicondyle sini kan. Kalau I bagi you gambar yang from apa nama ni? Posterior pun. Lateral pun, kalau lateral, okay, this is still lateral epicondyle. Takkan tukarnya ya. Kalau I bagi you from posterior, this is still medial epicondyle. Okay, lateral epicondyle, medial epicondyle. From anterior view pun sama juga, medial epicondyle, lateral epicondyle. So it doesn't change anything. Dia punya nama tu dah medial lah. walaupun you bagi gambar tu ikut mana pun. Okay? The coronoid and oleochronon process of ulna located. Ihsan Daud. Okay, thank you for remind me. Okay. I pun baru teringat sebab I think I didn't mention, adalah gambar tapi I didn't like concentrate sangat on coronoid fossa kan. Coronoid fossa dengan radial fossa, mana gambar. Soalannya ada coronoid and local process of ulna located at the medial and lateral side. Ada located at the okay. Tunjuk. Okay, nampak tak? Ini. Okay. So, actually elbow joint ada 3 fossa, which is, this one is radial fossa. Cara you nak ingat, you imagine when elbow ni flex, this radial head akan masuk dalam fossa ni, lubang ni. Okay, lubang-lubang ni kita nama dia fossa lah kan. Okay, radial head akan, bila kita flex, dia akan masuk, accommodate this fossa. So this is radial fossa. Yang ini ulna, this is coronoid process of ulna. Okay, bila dia flex, dia akan accommodate this fossa, which is, this is coronoid fossa. Coronoid process of ulna masuk accommodate coronoid fossa of humerus. Okay, so bila kata sini radial fossa, of course this is lateral lah sebab radius kan. Bila kata sini coronoid fossa accommodate coronoid process of ulna, so immediately you can imagine ni adalah medial sebab dia masuk ulna medial, radius lateral. Okay, radial fossa lateral coronoid fossa medial. Oleochronon process ni adalah lebihan, tunjalan, apa panggil lah? Yang terlebih-terlebih ni lah. Ini adalah proses. Fossa is lubang kan. Okay, so oleochronon process of ulna, dia akan accommodate ni. Ni adalah oleochronon fossa belakang dia ni ya. Okay, so macam okeylah, ni yang terlebih tadi tu apa? Oleochronon process kan. Dia macam ni, ni humerus. Okay, dia akan masuk dalam oleochronon fossa, oleochronon process of ulna. Bila dia extend, dia akan masuk dalam fossa, oleochronon fossa. So oleochronon fossa ni ada posterior. Ada located. Tak, dia tak sama. Yang anterior is a radial fossa, accommodate radial head, and coronoid fossa accommodate coronoid process of ulna. Okay, dua ni anterior. Yang posterior is oleochronon fossa. Okay. And then okay, if you guys dah tengok the slide, okay, I ada attach sekali link video kan, from VB ada, from YouTube ada, betul tak?
Yes, doktor.
Yes,
Okay. Any of you perasan tak the mistake from the YouTuber tu? Macam I juga lah, ada salah cakap.
Yes.
Yang mana?
Oleochronon, I think this he said that the oleochronon process will insert into the oleochronon fossa during flexion.
Ni yang video mana? Dekat mana? Dekat radius ulna. Yang tu pun I tak perasan kot. I perasan ni, yang dekat here, yang humerus ni, nampak tak? Nanti ya. Okay, yang this slide ni, YouTube yang ni kan? Tengoklah. Tak tengok lagi tak apalah. Kalau you guys tengok nanti, pada minit 3 minit 28 saat kot. Dia ada silap mention medial and lateral. Instead of medial epicondyle, dia kata lateral epicondyle. So I just to make it clear, sebab kadang-kadang the first thing that we hear, we listen, kadang the first thing yang kita dengar tu yang kita remember kan. So if you guys tengok this YouTube, itulah pada minit ke 3 minit 28 saat tu, you guys try to tengok apa dia cakap and betulkan in your mind lah apa yang dia tersilap cakap tu. Kadang-kadang cakap tu nak laju kan, so I think dia terlepas cakap lah tu. It's not lateral, it's medial epicondyle. Dia terbalik sekejap je lah, after that dia betulkan semula, just in case lah, macam kalau you terconfuse. Okay, yang oleh kerana tu video mana
I don't remember. Wait a minute.
Yeah, tapi I go through balik. Maybe one of this lah kot ada. Okay. 8.47 dah. You guys lepas ni ada kelas kan? Okay, so any more question?
No, doktor.
I don't know which one yang you prefer, because I know yang from what I was told lah, yang the senior punya lecturer, dia like to give lecture masa ni. But I don't know which one do you prefer. I personally suka you baca dulu, so that me myself I can improve what the other things that may be lacking in my lecture notes. But if let's say you suka synchronize lecture, masa synchronized session we do lecture juga, so it's up to you. Which one?
For me, I like the pre-recorded lecture.
Pre-recorded?
Yeah.
Sorry siapa yang cakap ni? I tak tengok siapa. Sorry, what's your name? Siapa yang bercakap tadi? Ashraf. Okay. Ashraf suka pre-recorded. Yang lain?
Pre-recorded kan.
Yeah. Okay. I pun suka macam ni sebab macam santai sikit kan. Tak adalah macam benda ni dah banyak kena hafal and then you macam duduk dengar je kan. So better you yourself actively learn, and then tak faham you tanya. Okay, if let's say not necessarily masa synchronous je, kalau you have any more question, you boleh either post in, I think better post in GC lah. Kalau you PM I, mungkin I seorang je kot. Kalau post dalam GC, kita boleh study sama-sama, and then your kawan-kawan pun boleh put into information as well. What do you think?
It's okay, doktor.
Yeah. Cute.
Yeah.
Sorry?
In the Google Classroom.
Okay. So more Q&A question. Okay. Maybe pun I pun rasa macam better next time kita buat Q&A sikit. Tapi kalau Q&A nanti macam you guys senyap. Nanti orang yang sama je jawab. Okay. I pick people nanti ya.
Yes, doktor. Good idea.
Okay. I pick sama-sama nanti to answer question. Okay, so 10 minit lagi. Anything else?
Doktor,
Mm-hmm.
for humerus, trochlea and capitulum, are they present in both anterior and posterior view?
Sorry, for humerus, capitulum
and trochlea.
Trochlea,
Are they present in both anterior and posterior?
I think so. You can see, tengok tengok gambar je mana. Lepas pula. You can see it from tak juga kot. I pun repeat sekejap tengok gambar dulu. Okay, so this picture Okay, nampak tak? Okay, ni yang I kata tadi, olecranon fossa ni, okay. Tempat olecranon process accommodate here. To answer your question pasal trochlea tu, itulah. It is better if we have the bone itself kan. So, I nak confidently say you can really appreciate the structure from posterior view because this is gambar kan, definitely gambar. You can color differently to lah kan, to discriminate. This is trochlea, this is lateral epicondyle. Tapi in real bone, I'm not so sure whether you can really discriminate or not this structure. But what I can tell you is that if you were given a bone and you were asked to identify trochlea and capitulum, if I were you, I try to identify this first, medial epicondyle first. You know posterior by olecranon fossa, dia satu je kan. Kalau anterior ada 2 fossa kan. Posterior you know ada 1 fossa je. And then you tahu ada medial epicondyle sini. So you boleh cakap here is capitulum and here is trochlea. Tapi lah, I will not say confidently lah yang you can differentiate it if you were given a real bone. From picture, okay lah macam ni. Sorry lah, itu je. Macam ni lah kan, kalau I ada bone sini, I boleh lah cakap. Senang je you nak tengok. Tapi sebab I tak ada bone, real bone, from picture senang lah nak tengok. Real life tak tahu.
Okay doktor, thank you.
Okay. Apa ni yang dah tanya in this session is example for the next one. Harap maaf. Saya tak menghafal pula siapa yang dah tanya pada session ni. So semua kena ready ya. Nadia Farhan, I'm so sorry. Ini memang very bad with names ya. So yelah. Mungkin you yang akan tanya esok nanti. Nadia Farhan. I remember your name dah. Itulah tanya lagi soalan. Okay. 7 minit dah. Before your next session. Okay. Kalau ada apa-apa yang nak tanya lagi, just post in GC, okay? Okay lah, kalau nak PM pun boleh. Tapi I akan post dalam GC nanti your question. Okay, anything else?
No, doktor.
Okay. Okay, so okay lah. Kita boleh stop lah
Boleh doktor.
Okay. So Assalamualaikum.